Hi everyone, John here, and in this video today we're going to be doing some really basic sentiment analysis on movie quotes. So we can scrape movie quotes using a Python package called IMDb, and then we can use TEXTBLOB to find out the sentiment of those quotes. Quite a fun little project. So let's get started. So we're going to be using IMDb, and we've got some of the notes up on the corner of the screen here. So we can just go ahead and we can copy from their code example. Let's go and get these lines here. So we are importing it and then creating an instance of it. So if you need to pip install this, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, this should be absolutely fine to do just like this. So what we want to do is we need to search for a movie, then we need to find the ID, and then we need to get the information from that. So I'm going to say movie is equal to, we want to do ia.search movie, so ia being our instance of the class here, and we need to put a text string in here, so I'm just going to say Top Gun, and if we print the results out, we'll see that we actually get multiple results, which is what you would expect really. We can see that we probably want to always get the first item from the list because that's going to match our text search better. Obviously that's not ideal for when you're trying to find sequels or something like that. So if you search for Harry Potter, you might actually want the other films, not the one that comes up first. But for this instance, we're just going to go with the first instance. So I'm going to index this list for the 0 index, which is the first item. And we can see down here that we've got that there. So I'm going to say now that my movie, actually we need to get the ID first. So let's say, let's get the movie ID is equal to movie, and then the index, which was the first one that we wanted, dot movie ID, like that. So now if I print movie ID, we should get a number back. Great. So we can now take this number and we can then use that to get all the information for this movie, including the quotes, which is what we're after. So we can now do, I'm just going to call it my movie, my mov. I'm not very good with the variable names. They probably should think of better ones than that. We can do ia.get, I think it's get movie, and we can then give it our movie ID that we just got there. So now if we print out my mov, we should get something back. We do. We can see it took a little bit longer, but we got the name back there. So now that we know that that's working, we can start to ask this for more information. So when you want to get more information using IMDb, you need to update on your movie. So this is why we've gone ahead and actually done the get movie, because now we've done get, we can update the information against it. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to say ia.update, and we want to give it my mov, which is the one we've just selected with our get movie, and now we want to tell it what we want to update. So we want to get the quotes. I'm actually going to get the rating as well whilst we're here, for purposes maybe that we might use it in the future. So I'm going to run that update, and then we can actually start to see the quotes. So if I save that and just run it, we should have no errors, and I'm going to start building a loop just to loop through all the quotes. So we're going to say for Q in my mov, and we are in the quotes. We've just asked for those to come back. We see we've got no errors, so that's all working well. Now we can go ahead and we can just say let's print Q. So hopefully we should get the quotes back, or something that looks like it might represent them. Right, so we can see now that we've got all these quotes back from this movie, which is great. There's mostly good text in here. They all have these brackets around, so we might have to deal with that later. But I think we can just work with the string part. So I'm just going to close that again. I'm just going to say let's get the string representation of this object, and that should get rid of those, hopefully. Okay, no, but then well, I think that should work for us. So what we're going to do now is we're going to import TEXTBLOB, and we're going to get the sentiment, the polarity and the subjectivity for each quote. Now the polarity is a way of working out whether that quote is more positive or more negative, and the subjectivity is working out how much that quote or string of text is opinionated or more based in fact. So it gives you a score. The polarity is 1 to -1, so up towards 1 would be more positive, and then towards -1 would be more negative, and the subjectivity is, I think, 0 to 1, 1 being the most opinionated and 0 being the most based in fact. So to start with TEXTBLOB, we should always look at the documentation. So I'm just going to get that up real quick so we can check out that we are indeed doing the right thing. So we can see here we've got a quick start tutorial. If you haven't got TEXTBLOB installed, go ahead and pip install it. And then I am going to copy this so we import it into our code. So what we want to do is we need to create a TEXTBLOB object, and we need to make that of the string that we are doing. So I'm going to say we can get rid of our print statement. I'm going to say we go blob is equal to and TEXTBLOB with capitals, and we're going to give it the string representation of our quotes. So what we can do now is we can say let's actually get the sentiment analysis for each of those. And to do that, we can I'll print it out first so we can see all the numbers come up. We would just do blob.sentiment. If you ask for that, it will give you both, but I'm going to show you the polarity first. So we're going to say just the polarity. So I'm going to run that, and we will get a load of numbers come up on the screen that are the polarity response for the polarity result for each and every quote that we've looked at. So we can see we've got all of these numbers. So if we look at the first one, it comes up as 0.0. That means it hasn't managed to work out what it is, or it doesn't think it's either one or the other. But we can see we've got some more negative responses, not by very much, 0.3, and more positive ones. So to be able to analyze this a bit further, we need to get this into a bit more of a usable state. But before I do that, I'm going to do the subjectivity so we can see what that looks like. Subjectivity, and run that as well. So after we've run this, we're going to actually put this into a format that we can look at better. So we can see here that we've got some ones, which means that TEXTBLOB thinks these are really completely opinionated, and also again some zeros, so we'll need to figure out what we want to do with those, but some lower numbers as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a dictionary that has the name of the movie, the quote in full, the string of it, and then the subjectivity and the polarity. And then we're going to be able to put that into a pandas data frame to look at, and we can actually do other things with it from there. So to do that, I'm going to get rid of this statement here, and I'm just going to say score, for lack of a better word, is equal to create our dictionary, and then let's say movie, and we want the I think we've called it movie. I think this will work. Let's try, and we'll ask again for the string value of that just in case, because I've seen how the rest of it comes out. Then we can say rating. It's always good to keep another thing. We'll use this later, the rating, and then the quote, which we want this string of Q for each of the quotes. And now we want the polarity. There we go. And we'll ask for what we had before, which was blob.sentiment.polarity. And we will also get the subjectivity and subjectivity. I missed an I. Great. So now we can then say let's just print out the score first. Now this is going to give us a lot of information on the screen, but I just want to check that I've got everything right before we move on. Okay, so I've missed out rating somewhere in my code, and that is because I've not asked for it properly. So we're calling the quotes here, so we need to do the same for the rating there. Okay, that's worked, but we're not getting the movie title back the way that we'd want to. We can see here that it's giving us the whole thing, so we just need to sort that out. And I would say we probably used the wrong variable, so I'm just going to do that again, and hopefully we got the right one this time. There we go. So now we can clearly see some better dictionaries coming through. So if we just highlight this one right here, so if we just look at this quote here, this entry here rather, we can see the movie is Top Gun, the rating is 6.9, it should definitely be higher than that, and we have our quote and then the polarity and the subjectivity. So it thinks that this is a relatively positive sentence or string rather, and it also thinks it's reasonably opinionated. And I think it's doing that because we've got here, you can see it says, Maverick says, Hollywood, you look good. So I think that's why it's trying to work it out. TEXTBLOB is quite cool because it does all this for us as opposed to trying to work out all everything else. So that's all good to know. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put this into a data frame. So to do that, we need to create a blank list. I'm just going to do that up here. So let's just say movie quotes equal to our blank list. And now we just do movie quotes dot append, and then let's put the score in here. And now we can say we need to import pandas. So we can do import pandas as PD at the top. And now every time that we loop through this for each of the quotes, it's going to append it to our list. And then we can actually just turn our list into a data frame. So I'm just going to call this data frame DF for data frame, not imaginative and possibly not the best choice. PD.data frame, remember the capitals, and movie quotes. And now if we do print df.head, that will give us the top result, the top 5, I believe, in a data frame, which is much easier to see and read. There we go, we can see it there. So we're going to do two things now. We're going to, first of all, we're going to remove any lines that have a polarity of 0. Now 0 is either it's completely neutral or it wasn't able to work out whether it thought the statement was positive or negative or not. So I'm actually going to remove them, and then we'll have a look at the overall polarity and subjectivity of this movie, and then we'll run it through with a few other ones as well to see what they come out with. So what we're going to do to remove that is we need to do, let's create a new data frame. df is equal to df to create a new data frame, but we're actually going to override it, and we want to do, what was it, movie. So we want to say df dot polarity, sorry, not movie, we want to remove the 0 polarities, is not equal to 0.0. We see it's here, 0.000. So all that'll do is I'll just overwrite our data frame with wherever this doesn't exist in this column, rather that value isn't true in that column. So if we run that, we should see that the zeros go away. Okay, so we've just removed all of those lines. So what we want to do now is we want to get an overall score, we're just going to create a quick pivot table using the movie name, so it will sum everything up for us. So we can just say, I don't know, total is equal to, and let's do pd.pivot table. Let's just remove that, it's a bit distracting. And we want to do it on the df, which is the data frame we created, and we want to say the index we want to do is movie, seeing as that was the name. So if I run this now and we run total, we should get the average of the polarity out for every single quote together. So we can see that it's come out at 0.03, so slightly positive, and 0.59 subjectivity. So let's run that through again, and let's pick a different movie and see what results we get. So let's try, let's do Harry Potter. I don't know which film this one will be picked, but probably maybe the first one on the list. So we'll run that through and see what we get. So it came back with the Sorcerer's Stone, and that's put that as ever so slightly negative, but more subjective, more subjective. Okay, that's interesting. So let's try another film. Let's put in Clueless. I'm trying to think of some, I actually had to look this up, trying to find some films that are actually very different. This is not my personal DVD selection, by the way. Cool, so we got a 0.1 polarity and more subjectivity. Let's try one more. Let's do, let's try Taxi. And we're getting slightly negative as well. So maybe running sentiment analysis on the actual, just the quotes from the film that's in the IMDb database is possibly not the best way of working out whether the film's positive or not. You'd want to do that on the whole script, but we don't have access to that. So I thought this was just quite a fun, cool little project to do. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. We're going to pick this up again next time round. We're going to expand on it. We're going to get a load more data. We're going to get lots more movie quotes, and we're going to try and then see if we can pull some conclusions out of this data and see what we can find. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you're interested. I've got loads of web scraping content on my channel, and we're just starting to move into more stuff like this. So if that interests you, hit that subscribe button, drop me a comment to let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.